ExamPrep.School. Washington Crop Insurance Adjuster Exam. There are 6 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Crop hail insurance. Insurance terms and concepts. The insurance contract. Trade practices. Washington laws, rules, and regulations. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. According to RCW 48.17, why does Washington require crop insurance adjusters to be licensed? A. To protect insureds by ensuring adjusters meet professional qualifications and ethical standards. B. To standardize crop insurance premium rates and policy forms across all insurers in the state. C. To generate recurring licensing fee revenue for the state's insurance regulatory fund. D. To restrict claims handling exclusively to in-state or Washington-based adjusters. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is to protect insureds by ensuring adjusters meet professional qualifications and ethical standards, as mandated by RCW 48.17 to safeguard the public. Reason B is not correct. The statute focuses on public protection, not on standardizing premium rates or policy forms. Reason C is not correct. Revenue generation is incidental. The law's intent is consumer protection rather than fund accrual. Reason D is not correct. There is no restriction limiting claims handling solely to in-state adjusters under the licensing provisions. Question 2. Under Washington law, which activity best defines a crop insurance adjuster? A. Evaluating and negotiating crop insurance claims on behalf of an insurer. B. Soliciting clients to purchase crop insurance coverage on behalf of insurance companies. C. Underwriting crop insurance risk assessments and setting specific policy provisions. D. Issuing crop insurance policies and collecting premiums from insured producers. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is evaluating and negotiating crop insurance claims for an insurer, which aligns with the statutory definition of a crop insurance adjuster under Washington law. Reason B is not correct. Soliciting policies is a producer or agent function, not adjusting. Reason C is not correct. Underwriting involves risk selection and policy terms, not claims evaluation. Reason D is not correct. Issuing policies and collecting premiums are agent or broker duties, not adjusting. Question 3. Which requirement is mandatory for obtaining a resident crop insurance adjuster license in Washington? A. Passing the Washington Crop Adjuster examination within 2 years of application. B. Holding a bachelor's degree in agriculture, forestry, or another related scientific field. C. Completing an internship or supervised training period with a licensed insurance agency. D. Maintaining uninterrupted legal residence in Washington for at least 5 consecutive years. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is passing the Washington Crop Adjuster examination, as the state requires successful completion of the exam for resident license eligibility. Reason B is not correct. A degree in a related field is not mandated by Washington licensing regulations. Reason C is not correct. No internship or supervised training requirement exists for licensure. Reason D is not correct. There is no minimum multi-year residency requirement for applicants. Question 4. A non-resident holding an equivalent adjuster license in another state can obtain a Washington Crop Adjuster license by A. Submitting a certification of licensure, paying Washington fees, and fulfilling continuing education requirements. B. Establishing and maintaining a permanent office location in Washington and passing the state examination. C. Applying exclusively through a National Association of Insurance Commissioners approved reciprocity system. D. Completing a Washington-specific residency requirement and undergoing a detailed state background investigation. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is submitting proof of equivalent licensure, paying applicable fees, and meeting continuing education obligations, reflecting Washington's non-resident reciprocity rules. Reason B is not correct. No permanent office or additional exam is required for non-resident reciprocity. Reason C is not correct. Washington does not use an exclusive NAIC portal for non-resident applications. Reason D is not correct. There is no separate residency requirement or extra background check beyond standard procedures. Question 5. A crop insurance adjuster applicant submits an initial license application to the Washington Insurance Commissioner, but inadvertently fails to include one mandatory disclosure. Which missing item would render the application incomplete? A. A summary of previous crop insurance claims adjusted. B. A certificate of surety bond for the required coverage amount. C. Evidence of completion of continuing education in crop insurance. D. A record of any criminal convictions, including misdemeanors. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that applicants are required to disclose any criminal convictions, including misdemeanors, as part of the initial license application under Washington law. Reason A is not correct. A summary of previous crop insurance claims adjusted is not required as part of the initial application under Washington law. Reason B is not correct. Surety bond certification is not required at the application stage. Adjusters must maintain bond after licensure. Reason C is not correct. Continuing education completion is not required before initial licensure. It applies only to renewal periods. Question 6. A prospective crop insurance adjuster submits traditional ink fingerprint cards along with her initial license application. According to Washington regulations, which requirement related to fingerprint submission would render the application incomplete? A. Failure to pay the Washington State Patrol fingerprinting fee before submission. B. Providing a processed FBI background report instead of raw fingerprint data. C. Submitting fingerprints that were taken more than 90 days before application filing. D. Using ink-based fingerprint cards rather than electronic live scan via an approved vendor. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that ink-based fingerprint submissions are unacceptable. Applicants must provide electronic live scan fingerprints through an approved vendor under Washington regulations. Reason A is not correct. Failure to pay the fingerprinting fee does not by itself render the application incomplete. The fee can be collected after submission. Reason B is not correct. Applicants are required to submit raw fingerprint data, not a processed background report. Reason C is not correct. There is no provision returning applications solely because fingerprints are older than 90 days under current rules. Question 7. Under Washington law, which of the following is a statutory ground for denial of an initial crop adjuster license? A. Failure to pass the crop adjuster examination within 180 days of application. B. Making a false statement or misrepresentation in the license application. C. Prior suspension of a surety bond license in another state. D. Failure to maintain crop insurance coverage on personally owned farmland. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is making a false statement or misrepresentation in the application as RCW 48.17. One authorizes denial for false statements on the application. Reason A is not correct. The statute does not specify a 180-day exam deadline for initial licensing. Reason C is not correct. Suspension of a surety bond license in another state is not listed as a denial ground under the crop adjuster statute. Reason D is not correct. Personal insurance coverage requirements are unrelated to licensure application grounds. Question 8. According to RCW 48.17, 3. Which of the following is a ground for suspension or revocation of an existing crop adjuster license? A. Knowingly misrepresenting pertinent policy provisions in dealings with claimants. B. Failing to complete required continuing education by renewal deadline. C. Advertising crop adjustment services without listing licensing number. D. Paying renewal fees more than 30 days late. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is knowingly misrepresenting pertinent policy provisions as RCW 48.17. 2 lists misrepresentation of facts or policy terms as grounds for suspension or revocation. Reason B is not correct. Missing continuing education deadlines is not specified in RCW 48.17. Ernin. Reason C is not correct. Improper advertising alone is not identified as a suspension ground under this statute. Reason D is not correct. Late fee payment is not listed among the revocation or suspension criteria in RCW 48.17 Talius. Question 9. Under Washington law, which criminal conviction will typically result in denial or revocation of a crop adjuster license? A. A felony conviction involving dishonesty or breach of trust. B. A Class B misdemeanor for assault committed more than 5 years ago. C. A third offense DUI within the last 2 years. D. A nonviolent drug possession felony over 15 years old. The correct answer is A. The correct answer is a felony involving dishonesty or breach of trust, since RLADW 48.17. 1B, and related provisions bar licensure for convictions showing untrustworthiness. Reason B is not correct. Old Class B misdemeanors are not automatic disqualifiers for crop adjuster licensure. Reason C is not correct. DUI offenses do not necessarily involve dishonesty or breach of trust under the statute. Reason D is not correct. An old nonviolent drug possession felony is beyond the statute's time frame for disqualification. Question 10. A crop adjuster submitted an application for licensure in Washington, but failed to disclose a prior felony conviction. The Washington Insurance Commissioner later discovers the omission after the license has been issued. What action is permissible under Washington law? A. Impose a monetary fine and allow the license to remain in effect. B. Suspend the license for a specified period. C. Revoke the license. D. Issue a written warning and require additional continuing education. The correct answer is C. This option is correct because Washington statutes mandate license revocation when a licensee knowingly misrepresents or omits a material fact in the application process. Reason A is not correct. A monetary fine alone is insufficient because material misrepresentation triggers revocation rather than only a penalty. Reason B is not correct. Suspension is not authorized for application fraud. The statute requires revocation when material facts are concealed. Reason D is not correct. A warning and extra education are too lenient, as intentional omission of a felony conviction requires revocation. Question 11. A licensed Washington crop adjuster collects settlement funds but intentionally uses a portion of those funds for personal expenses before paying the insured. Under Washington law, which action may the commissioner take against the adjuster? A. Assess a civil penalty and suspend the license for up to 90 days. B. Impose an administrative warning and require restitution. C. Revoke the license and refer the adjuster for criminal prosecution. D. Demand restitution without further disciplinary action. The correct answer is C. This option is correct because Washington statutes classify conversion of insurance funds as grounds for license revocation and possible criminal charges for theft or misappropriation. Reason A is not correct. A civil penalty and suspension are too lenient, as misappropriation triggers revocation under the statute. Reason B is not correct. An administrative warning is insufficient because intentional conversion of client funds requires revocation and criminal referral. Reason D is not correct. Restitution alone does not satisfy statutory requirements, which mandate revocation and potential criminal action. Question 12. Which of the following powers is explicitly conferred on the Washington Insurance Commissioner by RCW Title 48? A. Levy criminal penalties against individual insurers' executives for licensing violations. B. Subpoena witnesses and documentary evidence in insurance investigations. C. Grant exemptions allowing certain insurers to operate without a certificate of authority. D. Approve and set insurance premium rates for all lines of insurance. The correct answer is B. RCW Title 48 authorizes the Commissioner to issue subpoenas for witness testimony and documents when investigating potential violations of the insurance code. Reason A is not correct. Title 48 outlines administrative sanctions, but does not grant the Commissioner direct authority to impose criminal penalties on individuals. Reason C is not correct. Certificates of authority are required under Title 48 without broad exemption power for the Commissioner. Reason D is not correct. Rate approval authority is delegated to specific rating organizations, not a blanket power over all insurance lines. Question 13. Under WAC Title 284, the Washington Insurance Commissioner may adopt rules establishing which requirement for licensed crop insurance adjusters? A. Mandatory use of standardized loss forms developed by each insurer. B. Minimum levels of continuing education courses each licensee must complete. C. Specific compensation rates for adjusters employed by public entities. D. Uniform crop yield tables for all types of agricultural loss. The correct answer is B. WAC Title 284 grants the Commissioner rulemaking authority to set minimum continuing education requirements for adjusters to ensure ongoing competence. Reason A is not correct. While insurers may use their own loss forms, WAC 284 does not mandate forms by insurer. Reason C is not correct. Compensation structures are negotiated by contract and not set by Commissioner rule under WAC 284. Reason D is not correct. Yield tables may be referenced in policies but are not adopted via WAC 284 rulemaking authority. Question 14. Which statutory provision grants the Washington Insurance Commissioner the power to examine books, records, and affairs of insurers and adjusters related to crop claims? A. RCW 48.04.040. Definitions in the Insurance Code. B. RCW 48.02.90. Examination of records and affairs. C. RCW 48.15. 200. Insurer tax and fee requirements. D. RCW 48.30.010. Unfair practices definitions. The correct answer is B. RCW 48.02.90 specifically authorizes the Commissioner to examine and audit insurer and adjuster records and affairs as part of regulatory oversight. Reason A is not correct. Definition provisions do not confer examination authority. Reason C is not correct. Tax and fee statutes impose financial obligations but do not grant regulatory examination powers. Reason D is not correct. Unfair practices definitions outline prohibited conduct, but do not address examination authority. Question 15. An adjuster is notified by the Washington Insurance Commissioner of a regulatory examination covering all crop loss claim files, work papers, and electronic records for the past 2 years, with a 15-day submission deadline. Under Washington law, which action must the adjuster take? A. Charge reasonable duplication fees for electronic record copies and require network access credentials before submission. B. Submit only summary versions of electronic data and delay providing original paper files until after completion of the examination. C. Provide complete paper and electronic claim files, work papers, and native electronic records within the specified 15 days, allowing on-site examination at no cost. D. Request an extension and propose delivering records in multiple stages, sorted by policy effective date. The correct answer is C. The correct answer is because Washington regulations require crop adjusters to fully cooperate with regulatory examinations by providing all requested claim files, work papers, and electronic records in their native format within the examination timeframe and at no charge. Offering summaries, imposing fees, or delaying production violates these statutory cooperation requirements. Reason A is not correct. Imposing fees and preconditions for electronic record access contradicts the regulation that no charge may be imposed. Reason B is not correct. Providing summaries and delaying originals breaches the requirement to furnish complete records in native format within the deadline. Reason D is not correct. Requesting stage delivery and extension delays compliance and fails to submit all records within the required timeframe. Question 16. In crop production, pure risk is best described as which of the following? A. A risk involving both potential financial gain and potential financial loss. B. An uncertain event that can result only in financial loss, with no opportunity for gain. C. A tangible agent or condition that increases the chance of crop damage. D. A sudden or unexpected peril that directly harms crops. The correct answer is B. The correct answer is an uncertain event that can result only in loss and offers no opportunity for gain, which precisely defines pure risk in crop production. Reason A is not correct. This describes speculative risk, which involves both potential gain and loss rather than pure risk. Reason C is not correct. This defines a hazard, not pure risk itself. Reason D is not correct. This defines a peril, the cause of loss, rather than the risk concept. Question 17. Which statement most accurately differentiates speculative risk from insurable crop risk? A. Speculative risk entails only the possibility of loss, whereas insurable crop risk includes the chance for profit. B. Speculative risk can be transferred to insurers, whereas insurable crop risk cannot. C. Insurable crop risk may be avoided through risk control measures, but speculative risk cannot. D. Speculative risk entails the possibility of gain or loss, while insurable crop risk entails only the possibility of loss. The correct answer is D. The correct answer is that speculative risk involves both potential gain and loss, while insurable crop risk involves only potential loss. Reason A is not correct. This reverses the definitions and incorrectly attributes profit potential to insurable risk. Reason B is not correct. Both speculative and insurable risk can be transferred to insurers. This does not differentiate them. Reason C is not correct. Avoidance through control applies to many risks, but does not distinguish speculative from insurable crop risk. Question 18. A crop insurance underwriter is evaluating a barley field that lies in a depression where water pools after rainfall, leading to prolonged soil saturation. Which factor best illustrates a physical hazard in crop insurance underwriting? A. Failure to maintain harvesting machinery leading to operational issues. B. Hailstorms that frequently strike during the growing season. C. A field location that accumulates water due to its basin-like shape. D. Insured misreporting production estimates to influence premium costs. The correct answer is C. A physical hazard is a condition of the insured property that increases the chance or severity of loss, such as a field depression that retains water. Reason A is not correct. This reflects a morale hazard involving carelessness, not a physical condition of the property. Reason B is not correct. This describes a peril which is the cause of loss, not a condition that increases its likelihood. Reason D is not correct. This is a moral hazard involving intentional misreporting, not a physical property condition. Question 19. Under the principle of indemnity in multiple peril crop insurance, an indemnity payment is intended to restore the insured to pre-loss financial position by which method? A. Paying the cost to replant damaged crops regardless of total loss. B. Covering the market value of lost production using APH yield and price election. C. Guaranteeing revenue based on projected yields at harvest time. D. Reimbursing documented harvesting expenses regardless of yield loss. The correct answer is B. The correct answer restores the insured to a pre-loss position by compensating for actual production loss based on APH yield and price selection. Reason A is not correct. Replant cost alone does not reflect the total yield loss or market value of lost production. Reason C is not correct. Guaranteeing revenue aligns with revenue protection coverage, not indemnity for actual production loss. Reason D is not correct. Reimbursing harvesting expenses fails to address the full market value of lost crop yields. Question 20. Which policy provision directly ensures that an insured under a federal crop insurance program will not receive an indemnity payment in excess of the actual economic loss? A. Agreement allowing assignment of indemnity rights after loss. B. Subsidized premium rates for selected coverage levels. C. Timely notification requirement for reporting losses. D. The limit of insurance equals the amount of coverage purchased. The correct answer is D. This provision caps the insurer's liability at the purchased amount, preventing indemnity payments from exceeding actual economic loss. Reason A is not correct. Assignment of indemnity transfers rights but does not cap the amount payable. Reason B is not correct. Premium subsidies affect cost but do not adjust indemnity payment limits. Reason C is not correct. Notification requirements govern timeliness, not the amount of payment. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below. We read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.